On this episode of ResiWeek, we talk ISE cancellations, and CES is back in Las Vegas, as well as protection from cybersecurity in voice use cases. All this and more on this episode of ResiWeek.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is ResiWeek, episode 274, Plug and Play.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by Access Networks.
Welcome to this episode of ResiWeek. This is your weekly roundup of all the latest news and stories for the residential AV industry. I'm your host, Matt D. Scott for AVNation.tv. And this week, I'm pleased to be joined by two of my good friends. First, we have the one and only Jamie Breezemeister. She is the CEO and boss lady at Integration Controls. How you doing, Jamie?
Doing very well. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. I got coffee earlier because I lost power and figured that was the best way to approach it. So, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Then we have Jimmy Paskey. He is he's with residential sales for Surgex. How you doing, Jimmy?
Fantastic. Speaking of losing power, I don't lose power over here, Matt. I might be able to help you with that.
Well, luckily, thanks to you, I monitor it a whole lot better now. We know what's going on. I just can't always, help our friends.
Do something about it?
Yeah. We have all these overhead power lines, North American stuff. Mm-hmm. And wind, rain, trees sometimes means boom. Transformers like to go. Yeah. It's problematic. But, it is what it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's kick this off with a story that comes to us from CE Pro. ISE 2021 is already kind of starting to cancel a couple events. They're canceling the two breakout events in Amsterdam and Munich due to those countries' updated COVID-19 restrictions. ISE Digital is still on track, so that's going to go ahead as planned. But unfortunately, those two events are being canceled. The other two events of that four-part are going forward in Spain and the UK, so they remain on target. The other topic that we're going to discuss in this little trade show blitz is from Residential Systems. CTA will return to Las Vegas for CES 2022. That will be an in-person full event with a programming for a wider global digital audience in case some of that stuff changes down the road. But for CES, they have something like over 1,000 companies have already committed to that event in Las Vegas. So Gary Shapiro was the president of CTA, was very excited about that. Jamie, when you look at this from a attendee standpoint, this is showing me kind of two things. I'm going to take two things away from this. One, it's awesome that we're getting closer and closer to in-person going forward in, kind of full capacity. I watched the Kentucky Derby and it had like 50-something thousand people there, which was awesome to see. But we're also seeing that, ISE had planned for those events and then changes that are beyond their control are happening, and they've lost now two of their four events. Is it incredibly difficult at this point to plan any attendance to any show? Do you have to take it with a grain of salt of, we're going to book and we'll see where we are a month out?
At this point, I think that's what we have to do. I think we have to plan for today and be prepared for what tomorrow might bring. ISE would have loved to continue in Amsterdam and Munich, I bet. But if the decision is made outside of what you can control, then you just have to roll with what you can. It's still it's probably one of the most interesting years for people who are trying to plan anything. I know I feel that way with events that are close to home and a much smaller scale. I couldn't imagine trying to bring people from around the world into an event and not know even if they can travel and if they have to quarantine when they get there. So yeah, we just have to be flexible and buy traveler's insurance.
Yes, always get the traveler's insurance.
Yeah.
Jimmy, I'm trusting you can speak to this a little bit from a manufacturer standpoint, or at least a gentleman who attends as a manufacturer. When you see this, when you see kind of the tumultuous events that, again, are well beyond ISC's control and Mr. Blackman's control, but when you look at ISC, when you look at CES, is this something that is it incredibly challenging? Is it as challenging as I would think it is to look at it and try to determine how you're going to attend a show, or if you're going to attend a show, knowing that, you know, Amsterdam is coming very quickly for that event, and that booth build, all of that stuff is already in the works. It's already going, and restrictions change, so that has to get postponed. How do you manage that? Can you manage that?
Yeah, I think I like what Jamie said. First off, you can control for what you can control for, right? We're starting out, you know, kind of kidding about power. And that's kind of beyond your control. And so Matt's house loses power, not for anything he did. But I guess one thing as a manufacturer we can do is just make a decision. And for CEDIA, along with quite a few other vendor partners that we all got on a Zoom call not too long ago and said, look, we can either wait to see if dealers are going to come. And of course, they're probably going to wait to see if vendors are going to show. And then we're all just waiting. Or we could say, hey, we're going to go big. You know, we're gonna say that we're committed to the show and march along, like Jamie said, planning that, you know, it's going to happen. Now, one of the things that we liked was Indianapolis was showing that they are prepared to handle a good number of people. They've done it in Q4. They had over 40 events with thousands of people in attendance. I think up to 10,000 was the max. So I think that bodes well for us. And Emerald, you know, also produced documentation that showed that they could handle an event that was safe. And I think as long as parties feel safe, and it's the vendor, it's the dealer, but also the community that all these people, all these strangers are coming into with God knows whatever germs they have. And, you know, the good news is I think Vegas is totally accustomed to that kind of, all these people coming in from God knows where, you know, with all the germs they might have. I don't know about you, but after about 3 minutes standing outside of the airport, I want to wash my hands. And I think it's awesome actually to see CES, you know, being planned for, and it's cool to see really big brands that so far are committed, Sony and LG and Panasonic and those large booths that you see, because obviously that's going to help, you know, attract more. Once those guys say they're out, then it's just like a domino effect. You know, if they're out, then who's coming? Because people traditionally like to come and see what those big, innovative tech companies are up to.
Yeah.
I like Eureka Park with the smart underwear and everything else that comes out of that each year.
Wait, you have smart underwear?
I didn't buy any. I didn't buy any yet. I just liked it. I liked looking at it.
I'm intrigued now. Gosh, that's
Ask Julie Jacobson. She knows
I
all
don't
about
even
it.
know if I knew that was possible.
I am not Googling that though, unless I'm using like DuckDuckGo or something. That's asking for trouble.
Right.
So, Jimmy, just to recap, you guys are fully in for CD Expo, correct?
Correct.
Jamie, what's your feeling on it?
Going.
Excellent. I love it.
But I'm also in the Midwest, so I can drive.
You can
and
drive.
I know that for those, yeah. So I've been speaking with a few people about it. It feels like it will still draw a global presence, but certainly I think more regional. Those that can drive and be there within, 4 or 5 hours. It makes it easier about the whole, insurance. No more travelers insurance if you just have to get in your car and go. But no, we're in. I'm excited.
I'm definitely intrigued to see how it goes off this year. And I say that somewhat tongue in cheek, knowing that the likelihood of me getting there is really small due to, as you mentioned, quarantines and all of that fun stuff from international border travel, which used to be so simple back when we were kids. It was easy.
Some of the conversations that we've had were like, well, we're putting together ideas on events to do. And it's like, well, is this the year for that? Is this the year for that event? And my contention is, why not? Why isn't it the year? we've all done, and we've all had a very odd past year. Why not try something a little new or different? Why not go and see if you feel safe, if you've been vaccinated, if you feel that you can be around. I'm excited about it. So why not it be the year to see neat things and hopefully have some manufacturers out there showing us some new stuff. We haven't seen anything in a while. I'm excited.
I am. Hopefully, no one's listening to this. Well, like hopefully a lot of people are listening to this, but hopefully no one that this affects. I'm seriously trying to find a way to get across that Mr. Trudeau's
There's
border.
No tunnels or anything for Canada?
That's on the other side, from what I hear.
Oh.
At least all the shows I watch, they imply.
I'm sure there's a Tim Hortons near the border that you could there's secret door, tunnel your way.
Hey, thanks for watching the first segment of this week's episode. To catch the entire show, please click the link below or visit avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.